There is a right way and a wrong way to talk to business owners who may be thinking about selling their businesses. This is even more important if there's no broker involved and you're dealing directly with them. In today's video, I'm going to show you the top 4 things you need to do to establish the foundation that is going to lead to a great offer for you as a buyer. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am your host, Leo Landaverde, business broker and commercial lender, helping you buy and scale a profitable business. You are a small business owner looking to increase your wealth by buying a profitable business, or a W-2 employee sick and tired of the rat race and want to buy a profitable business as a means to get out of the rat race, you are in the right place. Please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell and you'll be notified every Thursday when new videos come out. Having conversations with sellers is like dating. You don't put a ring on the finger of the seller on the first day that you meet him. There's got to be a process of dating. Because just like when you meet the person of your dreams and you want to marry them, you go through this process of dating that's going to lead to an engagement, that is going to lead to a wedding. I want you to think about the buying of a business in the same way. So there's a process that you have to undertake. So here's the first step to making great offers. Number 1, you got to focus on the relationship, not the transaction. You need to seek first to establish a connection with the seller. Remember, the seller doesn't know you, doesn't really know who you are, and why should they be talking to you? And more importantly, why should they be disclosing financial information that is so private to you, somebody they don't know? Unless you have been introduced by somebody they know, they're going to be a little standoffish. So you need to kind of build a bridge and establish a relationship. One of the things that I suggest to my buyers is just get the seller on neutral ground. I'm assuming that if you're looking at business in your local town, maybe within the county that you live in, you can actually drive to the area. So if you have singled a couple of industries that you want to target, well, and you have done a mailer for them, and if you haven't watched how to create a mailing list, you need to watch one of my videos. The information will be up here and below that you can actually look, because you need to watch that. So you get them to respond to a letter, and then you get them on the phone. First thing you want to do is get to know them, and you want to get them into a neutral ground. A coffee shop or a restaurant, somewhere where they're going to be a little less apprehensive and less on the defense. Remember that whenever you're talking to a seller that is not on market, means that they may not even be thinking about selling yet. And more important, we don't want their customers, their vendors, or their employees to know what's about to happen. It's a very confidential conversation. So you take them to a neutral place where you can have a conversation with them and you can begin to build that relationship. Now, here's a tip. When you're talking about relationships, means that it's going to take a little bit. You're not going to get very much. You may not even get everything you need on the first meeting. It may take about 2 to 3 meetings for you to start warming up to you and getting to know you. So it is best that you work with 1 or 2 degrees away. Being introduced by a friend or by a vendor or somebody you know goes great lengths in building that rapport. Remember, people only work with people who they are more likely to have affinities with. Which leads me to my second point, which is find common ground. So, what do you know about the industry, about their business, about their family that you can utilize to build a bridge? For instance, remember, people only do business with those who they know, like, and trust, right? If they don't know you, they're not going to get a chance to like you. And if they don't like you, certainly they're not going to trust you. So it is important that you establish a bridge. Now, I've said it in other videos, and it really is important now. If you are in an industry where you have a lot of experience in, say you are in any of the trades, we're talking about contracting, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, roof repair, painting, landscaping, or anything that touches the home, and you know the industry codes, you know the NAICS codes, you know the industry jargon, you have attended some of the same conferences, you know some of the same people. Those things are going to be very important, and then getting to know you. It's just simple common sense. The more you know about them and their surroundings, the more they're going to know about you, because they're going to start to feel comfortable. Hey, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And knowledge is power. So what do you know about their industry, about their business that you may be able to build on. For instance, if you did $1 million and you're targeting business between $1 and $2.5 million in revenue, and you know that they started this business 10 years ago, you can compliment them on their growth of their business, even through the COVID-19 episode that we just went a couple of years ago. You can ask them, how do you manage to stay alive? Or how do you manage to benefit or even grow through this time of uncertainty? So always seek to find common ground and relate to them in a way that that resonates with them. So people do business with people who are most like themselves. Now, let me give you an example. This is just something that you can say, hey, Mr. Seller, listen, I am super interested in your business. I love what you build and I love your industry. And it is exactly what my wife and I are looking for. Now, this, who knows if you're talking to a seller who may be married, who may be getting ready to retire, whose kids are already in college, they, just by the fact that you are married and you are bringing your spouse, it may be endearing enough to the seller to talk about their wife and their journey and what they want to do, their hopes and dreams. They may talk about the kids in college, etc. That allows you to have more conversations and build rapport and build a bridge and build a relationship. Now, give you an example for somebody in my space, right? I am somebody who's got now 3 kids in college. I'm basically about to be an empty nester. So I have a lot to talk about, life as traveling a little bit more, the challenges and the exciting things going on when your kids go off to college, when they're not living at home, that sort of thing. I have a lot in common with people who are in the same life space that I am. It's easy for me to relate to them because I know exactly what they're going through and they know what I'm going through. So even if we don't talk about business, there's a lot in common just in our personal life. So when you lead off with something, hey, I'm very interested about your industry and my wife and I really like what you've done, it brings the wife, it's very heartwarming. Okay, so number 3 on the 4-step process is be respectful when making offers. Now remember, this is not a transaction, and it's very easy to be offended or to offend the seller if you don't come across the right way. Remember, if you have this desperation in your voice that you really need to strike a deal or else, people on the other side of the table may sense that kind of adrenaline rush when it's unhealthy, when you're like too focused on them. You only care about the numbers, you don't care about the seller. You have no idea what the seller is going through or what their plans are or how worried they are about their employees. Even if they started thinking about selling, they might have not told anyone yet because they're worried what's going to happen to their employees who've been there with them for 20 years or more. So think about that. So I'm going to kind of lead you off with something that I would say, if you build rapport and if you are interested in their business and if you have enough information to start building towards an offer that you're going to present to the seller. So do you need help with buying a business? I would love to help you. I need to get to know you better. All you have to do is reach out to me directly. My email address will be below in the description section of this video, or just drop me a comment and let's begin the conversation that may lead us to have a conversation offline. I look forward to helping you in your journey. Mr. Seller, I'm absolutely interested in your business. To be honest though, I don't know, based on the current performance, chances are I'm not gonna get very close to your asking price. I certainly have too much respect for you to waste any of it. So are you stuck in getting somewhere close to what the asking price is, or are you open to other offers? Now, obviously in an on-market situation and you have bypassed the broker and you're meeting with the seller, you're gonna know a whole lot more about their financial performance than when they are off market and you don't really know very much. But what it does is this dialogue, this phrasing, this positioning of yourself allows you to pay him respect. At the same time, you're asking permission to send him a lower offer. It dials back his financial expectations for a bit. Then when combined with the right wording, you may get into the situation of seller financing. Remember, and this is the thing, in a negotiation for both parties to win, they both have to lose something. For a win-win, there must be a loss-loss. And a win-win means that there was a compromise. So say, for instance, that the seller in their mind had this $2 million purchase price. And they wanted to do it on a stock sale because this is what this, the CPA may recommend. But they may not realize that an asset purchase could be equally beneficial. Or they may not realize that if they do some seller financing, they may not have the tax consequences that come with having an all-cash transaction. So there's a lot of levers to pull, and it's too early for you to throw everything. But you want to position yourself in a way that is respectful because you don't know what they're after. So you need to understand their motivation. So you will know their motivation the more questions that you ask. So be respectful. Now, number 4 is you got to create room for negotiation. So you can say something like, hey, okay, this is great. I'm not one of those guys who like to negotiate or play games with you. And I'm not about to waste your time. I mean, if there's a little bit of wiggle room, I like to work with you. But I want to get you the highest number that I can. This is important. It's what is it for them. It's not what is it in it for you, what's in it for them. So you want to focus on what is the highest number that you can get for them. And I want to put my best foot forward. One of the ways that would allow me to do this if you didn't have to take a lot of money up front. So let me explain. So when most sellers are working with a broker and the broker has done their job, so for instance, in my case, as a business broker and an M&A advisor, and I have several businesses for sale right now, I go through this process of getting to know the seller, their motivation, their reason for sale. I do an opinion of market value. We arrive at a potential purchase price. If the business is big enough, it may go to market blind because I expect some type of competition. If it is a reasonable expectation that I'm going to get an X amount of dollars, I put the price on the market whenever it goes for sale, and it gives me a little bit of a range. Now, I price the businesses to sell. Now, I hear what the seller has to say, and I tell him, this is way too much. You may not be able to get that. You may have to lower your price. But if I think it's in the ballpark, I'm going to put a price on it. But, I also put myself on the mind of the buyer. You've got to put yourself, as a broker, I put myself in the position of the buyer. Now, the very first question a buyer is going to ask is, can this business afford itself? And the way I answer that is by having this business itself be pre-approved by not less than two SBA lenders that are going to give me their blessing or letter of pre-approval on the business, on the cash flow of the business. And it's usually anywhere from 85 to 90% of the purchase value. This is what it tells the seller. The seller knows, okay, so we think we can go to market with $2 million, and I'm getting an approval for $1.8 million on a $2 million purchase. That means that it's a $200,000 equity injection on part of the buyer. That means a 1.9 loan. Together, it's all cash at escrow. At the close of escrow, the seller walks away with $2 million in cash. So, however, if the business is not be approved, it may, for whatever reason, it may not be pre-approved by an SBA lender, and the seller knows it, they may be more inclined to be more of a negotiated or take a different stance on that. They may not need, and remember, not all sellers need cash at close. Remember what I just said about the tax implications? Depending on the financial planner or the CPA they're working with, there will be tax implications for them and the windfall that they're going to get when they receive all the cash up front. So with all of that said, is you have a little wiggle room for negotiation. So in some cases, the seller may get asking price. If you really want the business as a buyer and you're willing to overprice a little, the way you do that is by having the seller carry a little more paper, right? If the seller wants to have everything, they're going to have to carry more paper. Now, obviously, with the seller carrying paper, the way you protect yourselves by having some clawback provisions in the purchase agreement that allows you to claw back or protect yourself against balances owed if there's some lack of performance during the period of the note with the seller if the business doesn't perform as well once you buy it. Enough of that sort of thing. So with that conversation, one of the things you can say is, hey, I can certainly make you an all-cash offer, meaning, they don't need to know that you're going to get your 10, 15% down and, 85 to 90% carry from the bank. I'm sorry, the seller note. I'm sorry, the bank loan. So you can say, hey, I can certainly make you an all cash offer, but I may be able to give you even close to your asset price or even a little bit more if you're willing to take payments over time, i.e. seller financing. Is this something that you would consider? So if you praise it in a respectful way, then you may have a chance for negotiations. So just to recap what we discussed. One is you got to focus on the relationship, okay? You can't make an offer if you don't know them, and you're certainly going to be offensive to them if you're a transactional guy, because you don't want to burn bridges. If you want to be able to eventually buy a business, you don't want to burn the bridges with all the owners in the industry you want to get into. So you want to focus on the relationships. 2, you want to find common ground. 3, you want to be respectful when making offers. And 4, you want to create room for negotiation. So this is a little bit of what goes in the mind of having off-market conversations. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. And please comment below. Let me know what you think. A limited time, I'm giving away my cash flow calculator. This is a great tool that you need to use when trying to figure out how much cash flow is there on any business if you actually get a loan to buy it from the SBA. It's a great tool that has been downloaded hundreds of times as of today. Please download your copy now while it's available. Thank you.